What's going on, Goat Format Duelists? I am ACP, and I am going to show you the top 8 features that will make the Goat Duels Goat Format Simulator the best simulator for playing Goat Format online. So let's get into it. Make sure you watch until the end of the video if you want to see sort of an updated timeline on when you all will be able to play the simulator. But let's talk about the features first. First, key feature that I think any Goat Format simulator needs to have, and that is unlimited fusion deck automatically added into your games. And yeah, you'll notice here in the deck builder, there's no fusion deck. Well, why is that? Well, that is because in Goat format, you can play 3 of every fusion. You're not limited to 15 cards the way you are in modern Yu-Gi-Oh! And the cool thing too is that these cards are all sorted, right? They're sorted by level, so we can see, oh, here are all of our legal 5s, here are all of our legal 6s, and it even, as a default, it only shows you the fusions that you can get with Metamorphosis and Cyberstein. If you want to see some of the quirkier fusions that cannot be summoned off of those cards, like Dark Paladin, maybe you want to build a Dark Paladin deck, yeah, you just flip this Meta Targets button, and you can go back and forth. So how cool is that? Side note, you will also be able to construct a deck with unlimited cards in it. I know if you're a competitive player, that's probably not something you care about too much, but technically speaking, in GOAT format, you are allowed to run more than 60 cards. If you want to build a 500 card deck, you will be able to do that in this dueling simulator. Feature number 2, and this is kind of a group of features, really, and that is all of the unique things that I'm going to add to the deck constructor. There's going to be a lot of cool features that are going to keep your decks more organized and allow you to deck build faster. Now, obviously, not having to add the fusion deck, you're already saving time with that. But additionally, you will, for one, you'll be able to sort of save a group of cards to find later. So, good example here is I made a group of cards called CC Core. You can imagine that that stands for Chaos Control Core. Now, some of these cards are already in the deck, like Metamorphosis and Scapegoat, so you'll notice that they're not showing up here. But you'll see that Book of Moon, Tsukiyomi, Magician of Faith, Chaos Sorceress, Thunder Dragon. You'll be like, oh, I'm building a Chaos Control deck. I can save this group of cards for easy access. You could create a group of cards called Staples, right? Put Pot of Greed, Graceful Charity, Delinquent Duo, Snatch Steal, whatever you want, and you can save that as a group, access it later, and go, boom, I'm going to add all of these cards to my deck really quickly. So that's something that I love. Also, kind of along the same lines is I had someone suggest this to me in one of the comments, actually, of one of my videos, and I was like, wow, that's a good suggestion. So if you have any suggestions, you know what to do. But what he suggested was, hey, you should have a trunk, sort of like a place to store extra cards that you were thinking about adding to your deck, but decided not to, and you want to access them later. So it's not in the game right now, but that is something that you'll be able to do. You'll be able to go, hey, you know, maybe I was thinking about, I don't know, siding Zombray of the Dark, but I didn't have enough room. And you can go, oh, I'm going to put that Zombray of the Dark in my trunk, and then maybe after some games, you come back to it later, see, okay, there were some cards in my trunk that I think I would like, so I'm going to try adding them now. And then they'll just be there for you right away, which is kind of cool. Also, you'll notice we have this wins and losses tab. So one of the things that, honestly, this is pretty easy to do, right? You know, any dueling simulator could do this, and yet I don't really see this in other ones. But, you know, it's, of course, right now it's 0-0. It's not functional yet. But, yeah, I would love to be able to see how many wins and losses a deck has. That'll also be cool when you're making a deck profile, right? You'll be able to show off this deck and go, look, I went, 20 wins and 3 losses. And the people watching your profile will know, no, he really did win that much. It says it right here. So I think that's pretty cool. And the last thing, and something that I want to mention is, for all these features, I do get a lot of inspiration from either like other apps, some that aren't even related to Yu-Gi-Oh! And one of the things that I did get some inspiration from is if you are a software developer, you'll probably know what Git is. And Git basically lets people who are coding sort of see a history of code changes. So now you're probably thinking what my idea was, right? At some point, there will be a box here where you'll be able to scroll down and see a history of deck changes. And that'll even go together with the wins and losses. So maybe with this Goat Control deck, you decide to add Book of Moon to the main deck. And you go, oh, wow, after I added Book of Moon to the main deck, I, went on a big win streak. I wonder if there's something to that. So that's kind of cool. And when you're sharing the deck with other people, they'll be able to see that too. They'll be able to go, oh, okay, he added this card and started winning more. Then he added this card and started winning less. So I just think it really will give you a complete picture of how good a deck is to see how often it's winning, how often it's losing, and what cards that you added and how that affected your win rate. So I think that is awesome. And again, something that's not very hard to do, but I think a lot of players will get value out of. Third feature, and I know this isn't perfect yet, but foil animations. You'll probably notice here there's some little stars in the card art. So right now there's only one kind of foil in the game. I've just called it star foil, and it is something that you can turn off if you want to. If you think, these foil animations look lame, you can turn them off. However, I think this is something that will keep players engaged and give them a way to show off their collection. So right now, every card is foil, right? Because the game is still in very early beta. But what I want to do is sort of have maybe almost like achievements or some sort of progression meter or something that allows you to unlock different types of foils for your cards. So maybe you play this Goat Control deck and you win 3 games and it goes, okay, you've unlocked foil Scapegoat or something. Maybe you win some more games and it goes, oh, you unlocked foil Jinzo, but maybe it's like a different kind of foil. So that is something that I'm going to be working on. Obviously, it's not really going to be like a top priority at the very beginning because it doesn't affect gameplay. But again, I think it'll be cool to, maybe enter a game and go, wow, every single card in their deck is foil. They must be a very experienced player, Feature number 4, though, is built-in rulings. So right now, this rulings button doesn't do anything, but, the simulator won't be fully automated. It's not like Yu-Gi-Oh! Pro or anything like that. It will get more automated over time, but for now it's, only automated a teensy bit. So because of that, I want rulings to be very accessible to players. I'm all about efficiency and saving players time, and I know from playing Dueling Book Rated, I get into rulings disputes with my opponents about the same things over and over and over again. And I just can't help but think, wouldn't it be nice if there were rulings built into the simulator where I could just click a button and go, boom, the ruling's right here, straight from the horse's mouth. This is how that works. And yeah, that's what I'm going to do here. At first, there won't be very many rulings, but the idea is, a judge makes a ruling, right? A judge gets called to a game, and they go, oh, okay, this is how this works. They document their ruling, and then it'll sort of be in the rulings database and be very accessible later. And you'll be able to search by card. So you'll be able to say, say, for example, someone wants to know, how does Thousand Eyes Restrict and Scapegoat tokens work? If I suck up a goat token with Thousand Eyes, does it disappear or does it become equipped? You'll be able to, search in the rulings database for Thousand Eyes Scapegoat, and it'll go, oh, we found a ruling that mentions both of these cards. And it'll say, yeah, the token doesn't disappear, it becomes equipped. And, then you won't need to call a judge anymore, right? So as time passes, eventually I think pretty much every common ruling will be there, right? So the idea is that, at some point, you just won't really need to call judges anymore, right? Because just every ruling will be there for you to see. And that'll obviously save everyone a lot of headaches, right? Both players and judges. I mean, I know on Dueling Books, sometimes you gotta wait for hours to get a judge. So we're gonna avoid that. Feature number 5 is you are gonna be able to run tournaments entirely within this dueling simulator. And I know Dueling Book already has that to some extent. I think they actually added it after I suggested it, but we won't get into that. But there are going to be some other cool things that even Dueling Book doesn't have. And I mean that in the sense of, okay, imagine you got, your group of friends or whatever, and you say, okay, we're going to run a tournament. You'll be able to select, what kind of rounds you want, right? Swiss, double limb, single limb, whatever. I think Dueling Book doesn't have all those different round types. And another cool thing is that you will be able to select, okay, am I going to require deck lists? Most of the time you will, right? You want to lock people into a particular deck. So you will be able to say, hey, I want players to have to lock into a different deck, not be able to switch between rounds and cheat, and they'll submit their deck, and, they won't be able to change. And then after the tournament, as the tournament organizer, you'll be able to say, okay, after the tournament's over, I want to automatically display the top 8 deck lists, right, for everyone to see. And I think that's pretty cool. I mean, I think with GOAT format tournaments now that are online, the TOs are usually pretty good about showing the deck list quickly, right? Maybe it takes a few days, maybe it takes a week at most. But what if you don't want to wait 2 days? What if you want to see the deck list right away? Again, I like automating these things, right? Saving people time, making it easy to run tournaments. So that's something that you'll be able to do, and you'll be able to even go back and see, that tournament 3 months ago, what were the top deck lists? It'll just all be right there. And I think that is pretty cool. Feature number 6. So I want to have the simulator integrate with some key apps. So obvious one is Discord. I've made Discord bots before. They're pretty easy to make. If anything, I think Discord's made it even easier to make bots than they used to. So I know people like to use Discord a lot. Gamers really love their Discord. So I'm going to have some basic commands like, hey, I want to check a player's rating, or, I want to see if there's a tournament coming up or something like that. So I'm going to have some Discord integration. More interesting than that, though, I think, is that I'm also going to have integration with OBS. So OBS is streaming software, and you can basically create a plugin that will allow you, as someone who wants to stream Goat Duels, maybe it's just you want to stream yourself, or maybe you're running a tournament and you want to stream games from the tournament. You'll be able to basically put the game in there that you want to stream, and it'll show that game from the watcher's perspective. So in other words, cards won't be revealed in your hand, right, if it's you. So that is something that was always frustrating for me, where I'd stream on Dueling Book, it would show my hand, and then I would have people, I literally had cases of people DMing my opponents and telling them what's in my hand, because people are nuts, So yeah, you'll automatically be able to get rid of this. If you're running a tournament, you'll be able to just say, hey, I want you to stream games from this tournament, and it will basically find you games from your tournament to put up on stream. And it won't show people's hands and that sort of thing. So that's pretty cool, and it's not as difficult to do as you might think. Feature number 7. So this might not seem like a big deal to some people, but it's a big deal to me. And that is sort of educational YouTube videos, for lack of a better way of describing it. Obviously, if you watch our channel a lot, we got a lot of great stuff. We're going to have even more stuff coming, of course. And the idea is, I've used chess.com, which is, as you might expect, a place to play chess. And one of the things that I kind of liked about that site when I was using it, I'm like, oh, it's this place where I could go to play chess. But then it also knows like what level of a chess player I am, and it can suggest videos, right? Like maybe it suggests, hey, watch this video about opening moves, or watch this video about pawns in the end game, or something like that. So I kind of want something like that. And I know there has to be a little bit of a balance in the sense that you don't want to be like bombarding people like, hey, you should watch this video, you should watch that video. But I want just something basic like, hey, the app knows I have a goat control deck here. It says, hey, Alan, would you like to watch a video about how to build goat control while you're building your goat control deck? Or maybe I play goat control against warriors, and let's say I lose, and at the end screen, after the match is over, it goes, hey, sorry about your loss, but would you like to go watch this video on how to play goat control versus warriors? Go learn about that matchup. And sort of, again, my vision is I want this sort of symbiotic relationship between the dueling simulator and the YouTube channel, where the YouTube channel, of course, would encourage people to play the simulator, as I'm doing right now, and then the simulator, in turn, would encourage people to watch the YouTube videos. So it would kind of feed on each other, and hopefully, the channel would become more popular, the dueling simulator would become more popular, and so on. So that's something that, again, I think there's a lot of potential there. It's definitely going to need to be fine-tuned. There'll need to be lots of great content, but if anything, it will just give me even more motivation to make YouTube videos. And last on my list, now, this is something that will be a little more difficult to do, but it is definitely doable, and it is something that is important to me, and that is having sort of card deck matchup data, right? All kinds of data. You'll be able to do something like see how often deck A beats deck B, right? If you watched our GOAT format RPS video, you saw me say, GOAT control counters Warriors, Warriors counters Chaos, Chaos counters GOAT control. Well, what does the data show, right? Is that really true? Maybe it's not. Maybe I'll look like an idiot. Maybe all those matchups will be backwards. I don't think they will be, but that's something that you'd be able to look up. And even basic things like certain card choices, right? The old debate of, in my Chaos deck, should I play Raigeki Breaker Wing Blast? Well, what if we looked at the data and sort of sorted decks by whether they were playing those cards and saw which variants had a higher win percentage? Or maybe we'd want to look up how good is Trap Dust Shoot in the main deck, right? Maybe you're playing something like this GOAT control deck and you're thinking, should I main Dust Shoot or not? Well, look at the data. Do GOAT control decks with Dust Shoot win more? Now, of course, none of this data is going to be flawless, right? I mean, just because a deck has a higher percentage with X card, does that mean that you should always play it? Not necessarily, but it's something that I think is important. And I know there are a lot of data junkies out there, people like myself. I've got multiple degrees in math, so this is something I care about. I know I'm not the only one. So that's kind of more of a long-term goal, but it's definitely something that's doable, right? All you got to do is just keep track of every match that's played and what cards are in those decks, and, you'll be able to figure out what won more. So those are the top 8 features, but before the video is over, I also want to talk a little bit about the timeline as far as when you'll be able to play, because I know people do ask me for updates, and I know I have been slacking a little. I'll be honest, I was hoping that the open beta would already be available to you all. However, it's not. My current estimate for when the open beta will be available is, I would say, early February. And I know that might seem like a long time, but part of the reason is I've already planned some things. I'm going on a vacation to Thailand tomorrow, actually. And then in January, I'm having my family come visit me in Cambodia. So obviously I want to enjoy myself on my vacation. I want to enjoy myself with my family. So I won't be working on the simulator then. However, in the next couple of months, the simulator will be the main priority in terms of time management, not the YouTube channel. So I of course love making YouTube videos. I think they're very fun, and I love all the positive feedback that I get about them. But I've kind of realized that at this point, I've seen the Goat Duels channel really grow over the last few months. The views have really been pouring in, but I noticed over the past few weeks, the views have started to level off, started to plateau. So I've decided that, okay, I think the way that we need to get to the next level is to really push forward with this GOAT format simulator, make it the best simulator for GOAT format that there is, and then if I can get that done, then the increased YouTube views will follow. So that is kind of my game plan. And let me know in the comments if you have any questions. Also, let me know in the comments what feature you're most excited about, or if you have any suggestions for other features. Thanks for watching, guys.